my niece got a little doll as a gift last year. It was from a family member who has a not-so-good reputation with us. This person has tried to use local witchcraft stuff towards my family in the past. Not that I believe in it much. But it's still family, so my sister accepted it, and we took the doll home. Everything was fine before in that house. My bedroom is located next to the living room, while the others are a bit farther away, crossing the living room and the hallway. I only come for the holidays, and I had been there for a week. Everything was normal. I get to hear a lot of noise coming from the upper floor. We have a dog there. And from the neighbors, because my room is directly above their backyard. The night we brought the doll, everything was quiet, because it was the day after New Year's. Everybody was sleeping after the celebrations, and I was on my laptop talking to some friends. Suddenly, I hear footsteps right outside my bedroom. It didn't bother me, because it could have been my sister's husband. They were heavy footsteps, like boots or men's shoes. It sounded like they were crossing the hallway, then the living room, and finished on the kitchen. Immediately, I heard the water on the kitchen sink running, and the sound of dishes being washed. It was odd because it was 1:15 a.m., but it could have been someone washing the baby bottles. I kept on listening. After 5 minutes, I heard my niece's playground being dragged from the hallway where it was kept to the living room. It does a very distinctive noise, and I'm 100% sure that was what I heard. The noise kept going for a good 10 minutes or so. I wrote my sister to find out if everything was fine, but got no response. After that, I kept hearing these footsteps. My dog was very nervous and barked at me when I tried to open the door to check out what was happening, so I just stayed in the room. I checked the time at this point. It was 1:43 a.m., and the sounds were still going, until they suddenly stopped. I went to sleep, trying not to think too hard about it. The next morning, my sister calls me on the phone and tells me to get out of my room. I did. I went to the hallway, and my mom, sister, and her husband were all there. My sister asked me if I had put my niece's stroller in front of her bedroom door, and if I had moved the playground station. I said no and told them about all the noises I had heard last night. I thought they weren't going to believe me, but it turns out that when my sister came out of her bedroom in the morning, she found the stroller moved. She put it in the right place and went to go get the baby bottles, then moved back to the room. After that, her husband got out to drink some water and found the stroller again in front of the door. He moved it back to where it was supposed to be, and on his way back, asked my sister why she had put her stroller in front of the bedroom door. They noticed there was something very weird about the situation, saw my text from last night, and decided to call me. We started to freak out a bit, and when I randomly grabbed the doll that was on the stroller, I noticed a strong smell emanating from it, like dry saliva. It was nauseating. It wasn't there the night before, and nobody had touched the thing. It was still in the gift bag. My sister's husband got scared about that fact and decided to throw away the doll. That night, everything was calm again. I swear up and down that this story, as much as it sounds like it's a made-up, run-of-the-mill scary doll story, is 100% true, and still terrifies me to this day. When I was a kid, I would spend a lot of time in Texas with my brother, dad, and stepmom. Mainly just my brother and stepmom, because my dad was in the military and would frequently go on long trips, leaving us alone in whatever house we happened to be living in at the time. When I was about 5, we moved to a very large, old Victorian house. 3 stories, not including the attic and the basement. Lots of rooms, and as a little kid, I found it very fun to explore the house. In the attic, there was a lot of old junk that the owner of the house was storing while we were renting it, including a collection of beautiful, handcrafted porcelain dolls. There were hundreds of them lined up neatly on the back wall in a glass case, standing on their stands like an army ready for command, and as a little girl who loved ribbons and bows and anything girly, I was entranced. One doll in particular always stood out to me. A beautiful red-haired, green-eyed doll in a blue silk dress with a matching ribbon in her hair. I begged my dad to let me play with her. I felt the need to hold and love her and have tea parties with her. He of course refused, saying that the dolls were worth more than I could imagine, and he wanted his deposit back when we moved. He kept the door locked for good measure after catching me more than once staring in awe at the doll. A month went by, and I had all but forgotten about the doll, choosing to simply explore the house and play in my basement room with my Barbies. Until one day, when I came home from dropping my dad off at the base, and found the red-haired doll sitting on my bed. I was ecstatic, thinking that my dad had given me the doll and left it as a surprise, and proceeded to play with the doll every second of every day until my dad came home. As soon as my dad saw the doll, he flipped out and yelled at me. He spanked me and took the doll away to lock back up in the attic, and only got more aggravated when he discovered that the attic door was still locked, and he was the only one that had the key. He couldn't figure out how I could have possibly picked the lock and repicked it to lock it. His solution was that I had somehow convinced my brother to do it for me. Another month went by, and my dad installed another lock on the attic, warning me and my brother what would happen if he found out we had been in the attic again while he was gone. That very night, when we returned home, the doll sat in my bed again, leaving me wary of its presence. Something that had once made me so happy now made me cautious and anxious. I told my stepmom, who immediately became angry and slapped me, then my brother, and tried to return the doll only to find the attic door once again locked. She tore the house apart, trying to find the key she was positive we had hidden, until giving up and locking the doll in her room. The night my dad came home, I was terrified, and he wouldn't speak to me or my brother at all, only giving a short speech about how we needed to go to our rooms and not come out. The next trip he made, we didn't see him off the base. We sat in our rooms and had a quiet evening alone. I spent the night sulking and trying to figure out how the doll had gotten into my room. Later, after I had fallen asleep, I heard soft music box music that slowly woke me up. I felt something near my feet, and thinking it was my cat, curled up and I reached down, only instead of finding fur, I found a handful of hair. I turned my light on and screamed. What looked like every doll from there in the attic was in my room, sitting at my tea table, on my dollhouse, standing positions on my bed and in various parts of my room. My door slammed open, and my dad appeared in their doorway, where he had apparently been waiting for me to head to the attic to claim a doll. He took one look at them, grabbed me, and ran out of the house, dragging my brother and stepmom along with us. He still refuses to speak of that incident to this day. The most important part of this story is the backstory of the red-haired doll. Apparently, the original builder and owner of the house had a daughter who died when she was about 8, and it was customary to make a doll of their likeness made out of their real hair and dressed in the same clothes the child wore. I think it was that little girl, because I've never felt like it was dangerous to play with the doll. I only felt like she was lonely and trying to make a friend. Weird things started happening to me about a year ago. I moved into a new unit in Brisbane and got my porcelain dolls back from my mother's place. I've had the dolls since I was 5 years old. Everyone used to tell me they were evil, but I didn't believe them. Anyway, I put the 7 dolls away in a box and left them in the spare room. I then began having nightmares, starting with 1 or 2 a week. After a little while, they started to occur almost every night. I've never experienced nightmares like this in my entire life. These were full-on extreme night terrors. I didn't understand what was going on and was exhausted all the time from lack of sleep. I then started hearing some kind of scratching noise coming from inside the closet or from just outside my room late at night, never during the day. At the time, I thought it might be a mouse. These things happened for a couple of months. One time, I was sitting in the lounge room watching TV when all of a sudden I saw two small red eyes on the side of my cat's body when he was standing on my lap. They were just staring at me. I looked behind me to see where it was coming from and saw nothing but a blank wall. I looked back and the eyes were still looking at me. Then they slowly faded away. I always felt a strange, uncomfortable presence in the house, but I wasn't sure if it was because I had just moved in on my own and was scaring myself, or if it was something else. I think I used to make excuses for everything, so I didn't think I was going crazy. On another occasion, I was lying in bed and had the outside hall light on when I saw a murky, dark shadow come across the ceiling and into my room, and then it disappeared. The last thing that happened before I spoke to someone about the weird events was when I saw a demonic-looking face in the reflection of the base of my lamp. It was staring at me. The thing had dark circles as eyes, and it wasn't clear like a human face, but was definitely a face. I turned off the light and ignored it, and went back to sleep. I eventually spoke to a lady at work, a Jehovah's Witness, about everything that happened. She told me that I had something in my house that was causing the problems. I didn't fully believe it was the dolls at the time, but I ended up throwing them out in the industrial bin that weekend because something needed to happen to make this stop. The dolls were worth hundreds of dollars, but I wasn't risking it. That night, I had an extreme nightmare about them. The dolls were at my nan's house, where they had been originally, and they had killed my cat. In the dream, I found his body in the kitchen sink. My cat is still alive now, but I always check on him to make sure he's safe. It's been over 9 months now, and since getting rid of the dolls, I've had no nightmares, no weird noises, and no feelings of another presence. I feel stronger and healthier, and I always pray from time to time, asking the Lord to protect me and my cat. Everything stopped after I threw out those dolls. Now I know not to ignore things and to become more in touch with my spiritual side. Hey guys, Blue Spooky here, as always. I just wanted to thank you guys so much for watching to the end of the video, especially if you made it this far. This video is actually based on a suggestion someone made, and they wanted me to do some scary, creepy doll stories, so I went ahead with that. Sorry if the episode's a little bit shorter than normal. I had somewhat of a difficult time finding good doll stories, so to speak, so I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you have any constructive criticism, please feel free to leave it in the comments below. If you have any personal stories that you'd like to share with me, or stories that you'd like me to read, feel free to send them to my social media. All of those links will be in the description below. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful day.